The productivity point, just to, because everyone likes statistics first thing in the morning. This is just to upset somebody, some of you. This is, these are two graphs from the OECD. This first one shows the more you spend on health as a share of GDP, the more your people die. And the second one shows that the more you increase your spending on healthcare as a share of GDP, the worse your improvements in stopping people dying. Now, I just give those as two examples. There are, in fact, many others from other social fields of why we have this innovation challenge. We have these terrible performance facts of some of our biggest systems, and I think the reason is we haven't organized innovation systematically in them. So in healthcare, we have a huge innovation system around pharmaceuticals, but its contribution to health gain has steadily diminished over the last 50 years. It's a dramatically poorly performing industry, pharmaceuticals, and there hasn't been investment in the fields of health which actually do deliver productivity gains. I think the other point is just in terms of where does R&D go. You probably can't quite see this chart, but it's simply showing that most of our R&D, particularly in Europe, doesn't go into services, either private services or public services. That's not so much the case in the US or China. It's a particular Europe issue that the R&D we have, which is quite a lot, Finland spending 3.5% of GDP, is nearly all going on hardware. And it's good to spend money on hardware, but in fact, if you want to succeed in this century, as the Chinese and Americans recognize, you also need R&D strategies for services. So what we've been doing, and Louise can say more about this, is with a network of partners around the world, we've been trying really to make sense of this field of social innovation, not by, in a sense, inventing it from theory, but more looking at the practice and what we can understand from what people are doing, what is working on the ground. And what I'll do is give you a flavor of some of that practice and the nature of the field. If you're interested in more, we've been putting out a whole stream of publications, and there's other books. Probably this one, the Open Book of Social Innovation, might be the easiest one to get a flavor of the practice of the field. And that's all downloadable either from Young Foundation or from Nesta websites or from SIX. And what this shows is a field with a lot of different, in a sense, groups or professions converging, probably including many of you in this room. So certainly a lot happening from NGOs and user groups. We've also got a big involvement of the design industry and service design companies. A lot happening from the web. People using new collaborative consumption, other web devices for social innovation. Some politicians have become heavily involved in this and really seen this as part of their mandate. Policymakers in government, the big consultancies, they've been a bit slow, but now McKinsey, KPMG, all of them have a social innovation, their attempt to get into it. And they're all converging in slightly different ways, trying to make sense of this field. I won't go into definitions. Some people love definitions, most people hate them. But maybe just to say, we've ended up with a very, very simple definition, which is that we're talking about innovations which are social both in their ends and in their means. That is to say, they create social value, they meet a need, an unmet need, but they also leave behind stronger social relationships. And if you're interested, we can talk more about all of that. But it's been a bit of a problem for the field defining it because what are its boundaries. The critical point is this is not solely about NGOs. It often is about NGOs, but it's not about innovation within a particular sector. It's about a different type of innovation which can be found in the third sector, in government, in business, but also in informal life. Citizens themselves driving innovation processes. And the field which I think most exemplifies this is food. In fact, there's been enormous food innovation in the last 20 or 30 years in a city like London, where I live. Most of it has not come from big companies. Most of it has come from daily life, from people changing their cooking habits, their gardening habits, or in Denmark, their foraging habits. And actually business and government have followed society on food. It's the opposite of the traditional sort of science-driven innovation model.